To quote the great Maximus Aurelius from one of my favorite movies, Gladiator, are you not entertained? Hmm. Allow me to explain right now.
Now, if any of you sons of bitches got anything else to say, now's the fucking time!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Jake Brown Podcast. I very much appreciate you all tuning in, downloading, wherever it is that you get your podcast content from. Just a reminder, I am on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. So there are plenty of venues to consume this content. But I very much appreciate everyone who follows and leaves 5-star reviews and or gives constructive criticism. And I gotta be honest real quick, today's just kind of one of those days where you ever have those days it's like you can't quite get going, you know? Like you just can't get going. Like I'm trying to work this morning and it's like I'm just spinning my wheels in the mud, you know? So I wasn't 100% dead set on getting this episode out today, but I knew if I didn't, Celso was going to bust my ass. So, Celso, I am dedicating this episode to you, my friend, because I know if I don't get a weekly podcast done, you're going to be texting me saying, yo, motherfucker, where's the podcast? And then I'll be like, damn it. All right, hang on. So here we are. I'm sure once I get in the rhythm of things here, I'll start feeling a little bit better. Let me take care of a couple of house cleaning items first, real quick. If any of you are in the area of Odessa, Washington, this weekend, rounds 3 and 4, both Saturday and Sunday, I'll be racing with the Northwest Motorcycle Association out in Odessa. It's the way I'm viewing this. This is a tune-up, basically a 2-day tune-up for the Desert 100. So I'm going to have 5 hours total worth of riding to, kind of get familiar with that terrain again. I don't know how much of the actual Desert 100 course they're going to allow us to be on. But I'm fairly certain we're going to be on a portion of it. I just don't know how much. So if you're out in that area, ideally, I'd hope you come out and race. But if you just want to come hang out, it should be a great weekend. I'm really hoping it doesn't rain on Saturday because maybe it'd be good for the dust. Okay, it can rain a little bit on Saturday and kind of keep that dust down. And then I think Sunday is supposed to be nice again. I'm back in the 60s. So all in all, it's going to be a great weekend. So again, out in Odessa, round 3 is on Saturday, the Frostbite GP. And then round 4 is Sunday, the White Knuckle GP. I'll be doing Senior A. That's my class. Look for bike 340. Feel free to come say hi if you see me. I'll probably just be, hanging out in my pit most of the time. You'll literally see me doing push-ups and squats in the fucking dirt or in the grass there. Because no matter what, I'm getting my push-ups and my squats in daily. And as it plays out, sometimes I'm not in my house or at the gym, and I just have to stop what I'm doing and get that shit done. So that's that little house cleaning item. On to a little bit of inspiration that I had last night. And when I say the word inspiration, I feel like I've been extremely fortunate throughout my life. And, some of it has just been by chance, but then I think an overwhelming majority of it is because of the people that I choose to surround myself with. as it relates to the activities that I have chosen to do. And a lot of my inspiration has definitely come in the way of athletics throughout my life. I've been doing some form of sport, whether it was t-ball that I started at 4 years old, all the way to now when I decided, last year at the age of 46, that fucking boxing would be a good idea to try. And here I am. Now it's been a full year. Here I am a year into it at 47. Uh, I don't think I've ever been more inspired at this point. Okay. Uh, Look, we can look up to professional athletes, all we want. But I feel like they live such a different life than just us common people. Okay. So like it's okay to look up to them and admire them. And there are some pro athletes, even though I'm an old guy, like there's some younger athletes that it would appear on the surface like they have their head on straight. They're doing the right things, they're saying the right things. Like you don't hear of them getting in trouble. Um, and let's just take age out of the equation because honestly, that shouldn't really be a determining factor as to whether or not someone inspires you. Uh, there are a lot of good young professional athletes that are more than worthy, more than worthy of inspiring you. And you can even look up to them, if you want to. Okay. At the end of the day, like we're all humans. So I'm not going to idolize any human. All right. But that doesn't mean I can't respect the work that someone's put in. It doesn't mean I can't be inspired by a performance that I saw. Okay. I'm 47 years old. And last night, I was inspired by a group of guys who are anywhere from 19 to 25. And I stood there watching, to me, just greatness that is happening in real time. And it has nothing to do with the talent. Okay. It has nothing to do with anyone's actual ability. It's nothing to do with wins and losses, like what anyone's record is. Um, just what I saw. And let me tell you a little bit about, what I saw. Now, let's keep in mind here. I know some of you listen to this. You have been involved in, some form of combat sports for, a very, very, very long time, years and years and years and years. I have some friends who've been involved in, either jujitsu or kickboxing or boxing, from the time they were little kids, and in their 40s now. So they've been doing this stuff a long time. So like it's not a surprise to them. And just from a sports standpoint, I wasn't surprised from a sports standpoint, okay? Because I've done sports my whole life. I've for just some average fucking Joe, like I've managed somehow to compete in some sports at a pretty high level. Like I never made money or anything like that, but I busted my ass and I was able to accomplish more than I thought I was capable of accomplishing. So, when I talk about last night, me being inspired, uh, I'm removing essentially the statistics. What I'm talking about is the level of drive, the level of focus, the level of respect between the fighters. This was my first experience of being a part. And well, I shouldn't say being a part. I did not spar. I let me do a little side story here. So we get a group text saying, "Hey, there's going to be sparring. Anyone is welcome to come and watch if you want to come watch." And my immediate thought was, "Oh fuck, I want in on this," because I missed a sparring. I didn't miss. I didn't miss. I wasn't allowed to spar 2 nights ago. Someone came in to get some work. and Smoking Rasta gave him a few rounds, and I was thinking, oh, like I could maybe do that. No, no, I was not ready for that. So tonight, I didn't really understand, or not tonight, last night, I didn't really understand uh, what was about to unfold. So I get to the gym a little bit early, and I'm like, hey, hey, they're sparring tonight. I go, I want to spar. Okay, I tell this to Coach Vince. I want to spar. I want a couple rounds. And he looks. Coach Vince looks at me and smiles, and he goes, "Oh hell no." Oh hell no. You're not you're not ready for this. He goes, "We have an Olympian coming in and you're no. Just no." Basically observe and report. Now, so I got a little bit of my workout in. I got a few rounds in the heavy bag and we get back now to kind of and I just kind of want to detail my impressions of this whole event. And over my, I guess, my athletic career now, now spanning, geez, roughly 43 years of playing sports, like I've practiced with teammates, I've practiced with competitors. Okay. The saying, what iron sharpens iron. Like sometimes you need to expand your circle, in order to get better at whatever your chosen craft is that you're trying to do, whether it's basketball, whether it's wrestling, whether it's fucking tennis. If you want to be the best bass fisherman ever, maybe you got to expand your circle a little bit and find some tricks or maybe some other strategies that another fisherman is doing that you just aren't aware of. Like there's a whole host of reasons. You see this in the NFL a lot too, where they do combined practices. And I would say the difference between any time I've been involved in any practice where it's just teammates as compared to when I'm involved in a practice where we are now having other people come in like from the outside, oh man, it's it's not quite like a game scenario, but the one thing that you never want to have happen is you don't want to lose anything. And it doesn't matter if score is being kept or not. It's just like it's a pride thing at that point. And maybe it is a little bit of an ego thing too. Because I think as competitors, you can even remove sports out of this fucking equation. Like this is just everyday life, whatever it is that we do. I think on some level, we all want to be the best that we can be. And if we observe a perceived threat, we're going to step it up a little bit to try to show that person or the evaluators or the judges or the referee, whoever that, hey, no, 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 pump the brakes. I'm still the best one here. Now, that's completely fucking subjective, obviously. Who am I to say who the best is at whatever? The only true way to find out who the best is to actually compete. Um, Practicing is a form of competing, but it's definitely a different form of competing. So, like last night I'm going through my rounds on the heavy bag, and the atmosphere in there was a little a little tense, okay? But it wasn't so unusual that I was like, "Oh shit, what's about to happen?" To me, like and keep in mind, I'm all new to this. So I had never experienced outsiders coming in or been a part of when our group goes and travels to other gyms to spar. Uh this was my first experience watching this, and I've gone, I will go up to T Town MMA and I will drop in every once in a while and I'll do the sparring there. But that's very much for work purposes. Okay. Like I'm there to practice, my combinations. I'm there to practice my defense. It's basically just like a big round robin. Everyone's just kind of rotating through everyone, and it's not hard sparring. It's lighter sparring. There are some guys up there that definitely go hard, and if you feel like you're at that level, you can say, hey, yeah, let's do that. If it's a little too hard, then hey, let's take it down a notch. I'm not quite there yet, and that's totally cool. It's a different environment. This was dudes coming down here to fight. This is hard sparring. The gear is on, the headgear, the cups, the fucking gloves are on, and it's ding ding fucking go time. And the mood changed the second those guys walked through the door. You know what I mean? And I want to give them a shout out as well. They came down from 7th Street Boxing Club in Tacoma, and they were all really really nice. Okay, they were all really nice. If I had to pin one adjective on it, these guys were professionals. Okay, they were. I mean, they're not literal professionals. They're still amateur fighters, but the way they conducted themselves, they were very respectful. They were polite to us, and as we were to them. But when it doesn't change the fact that when they walk through the door, the whole atmosphere in the gym started to change. Like, like you could just feel the tension starting to build in the air. And I was like, I'm just, this is all new to me. I'm like, man, like I kind of want in on this, I kind of want in on this. And but that's just the competitor in me. All right. Was I ready to spar any one of the guys that they brought down? Oh hell no. Fuck no. Fuck no. I'm not there yet. Now that doesn't mean I wouldn't have tried. Okay, I'm not afraid to spar anyone. Well, that's not true. There are definitely some humans on this earth that I'm 100% afraid to spar. But I'll try, even when I get my ass just kicked all over that ring. I will still try. And that is the mentality that I've always had through any sport. Just put me in, sink or swim, I'll figure it out. Okay. Unfortunately, combat sports are not like stick and ball sports. They just aren't. That saying, okay, and I've heard this now, and it applies to, and I'll just use boxing when I say it, but it applies to wrestling, it applies to jujitsu, to Muay Thai, to American style kickboxing. You don't play boxing. You don't play jujitsu. You don't play Muay Thai. You don't play combat sports. All right. And that's where I'm very appreciative of having coaches who have my best interest in mind. Because I'm just ready to go, just oblivious to what I would have been walking into, and it would have been a disaster, as would have the other night, Tuesday night, when the other guy, and I apologize if for some reason he hears this, I forgot your name. Had I got in the ring with him, it would have been every bit the same fucking ass whooping that would have happened had I got in the ring with any of these guys that came down from 7th Street Boxing Club. It would have been an absolute bloodbath. My blood, and everyone's bathing in it. Okay. So thank you, Coach Vince and Coach Honey, for reeling me in a little bit and not letting me make a fucking stupid decision. But then again, let's be honest. There are a lot of lessons to be learned when you are sparring, when you're competing against someone who is levels and levels and levels above you. Okay. I think the problem is there were so many levels between me and these guys that it probably would not have been productive. They would have had to have been holding back so much that it wouldn't have been beneficial to them. And at that point, they're just coaching me, and I don't need that. I need my coaches to coach me and get me ready to then spar guys like that at some point. Okay. But this atmosphere in the gym, when they showed up, it just completely changed. And in a cool way, like it started getting intense, and the gear's starting to get on, and like they start getting warmed up, and I'm kind of looking around, and I'm like, and it reached a point where I was like, okay, well, I'm done working out because I just want to watch this shit go down. And this is where the inspiration starts, because watching and all these guys, it wasn't just Rasta and Smoke. It was also, and they had they brought four guys down, but only three of them sparred. um Watching all five of these guys spar each other, it, you could just see, one, the attention to detail from everybody. Like the one thing I feel like that will always bail you out in any sport that you choose to do, any sport. It does. Racing motorcycles, fucking football, boxing, tennis, it doesn't, swimming, it doesn't matter what the sport is, okay? If you have shit fundamentals, you are not going to perform at your best. And what was really cool to watch was all these young people, okay? And I say young just because I'm so much older than them, that they're young. And it's unusual, what I've observed in my life, coaching, um, competing, being a young person myself, and I was pretty driven and pretty focused as a young person. But I don't know, honestly, I don't know if I was as focused as as these guys last night on both sides. I don't know if I was. It was so long ago. I would honestly need an outside opinion to tell me whether or not I was hyper focused on whatever sport I was doing and the training and all that. The the attention to detail, the footwork, the punch placement, you know, the strategy that's involved. Like, boxing is not some fucking Neanderthal, I'm gonna get drunk and brawl kind of sport. It's it's chess with consequences. 100%. It is 100% chess with consequences. And if you live one punch at a time and you aren't thinking ahead to set things up, you're going to get thumped repeatedly. And that's what I'm learning now. Even like when I do my light sparring, uh, I'm just now starting to get to a point where I'm like thinking maybe three punches ahead. Okay. That's like only three punches. Where like these guys, they're throwing five punches at once to set up a punch. And then they're throwing five or six more punches to then set up another punch. Okay. They're constantly testing the waters with feints. Um, feints are essentially like, kind of fake punches where you're trying to get a reaction out of someone to kind of see how they're going to respond. And then you either can then punch someplace else or then follow through with that punch next time. And you mix it up. You're trying the whole time, you're just trying to keep your opponent off guard while at the same time not getting punched in the face and in the fucking liver and in the kidneys or the solar plex. You're trying your best to play defense while you're playing offense. And it's really difficult to do. And watching all these guys last night, I was just sitting there. I was blown away. I really was. It was the coolest thing to watch. Um, Look, I've been inspired by other sports, I've been inspired by, like, Bo Jackson was probably, no, not probably. He was hands down my favorite athlete as a kid growing up. Okay. In my mind, there was nothing Bo Jackson couldn't do. And maybe part of that was because of Nike and the Bonos. You remember those commercials, Bonos? You know, I had a poster of Bo Jackson. Actually, I had a few posters. This was so times were a little different. Like back in the '80s, if you played sports, and a lot of you old timers can relate to this. If you played sports, you know, if you're anywhere like around my age, uh, all us kids, we all had like posters of our favorite athletes. So you would get these big ass fucking posters and you'd hang them up on your wall. So I had two walls in my bedroom. Two of them were absolutely filled with Sports Illustrated covers. Like it looked like wallpaper on two walls. So every time I get a Sports Illustrated, I'd read through it and then I'd take the cover off and I would tape them. And I had all of them for as long as I mean, my mom always, for whatever, she knew I loved, was obsessed with sports, and that, you know, that was a really nice thing that she didn't have to do for me, but she always did. She always made sure that I had a subscription to Sports Illustrated. So I would hang all these covers, and I had them all on two different walls. On my other walls, I had all these different posters of my favorite athletes. So I had like Bo Jackson posters, uh, King Griffey Jr. posters, Steve Largent posters. God, I think those were really like, I think my favorite ones. I had a Herschel Walker poster. I specifically remember he was like running through this brick wall and carrying the football and just these giant fucking arms that were like the size of fucking, he just like he had two goddamn toddlers for biceps. And it was just ridiculous. It was the coolest poster. So I feel like, you know, I had plenty of inspiration, but it always seemed to kind of revolve around, you know, professional athletes and things like that. As I've gotten older, you know, my inspiration has, you know, it's definitely expanded, you know, and like my friends definitely like a lot of the friends I grew up with inspired me, not just from a playing sports standpoint, but watching what they have gone on to become in life. Like to me, knowing where we all came from and how, you know, we kind of, you know, started as a group, and you know, and I'm not saying like I don't keep in touch with everybody anymore, but you know, through social media, like it to me it's inspiring to see the people that I have known the longest in my life become successful parents, to become successful at their jobs, to become successful at their hobbies, to become successful in, you know, whatever their relationships are. If we're, you know, we are still in touch with each other and they're still good friends to me, like to me that's inspiring and makes me want to be good friends to them. It makes me want to be a good coworker, you know, a good employee. It makes me want to continue to be a good athlete, you know. A little side note, I don't know if you realize this, but you're talking or you're listening to a Hall of Famer, okay? You're listening to a Hall of Famer. Seaside High School Hall of Fame inductee right here, right here. I was a football player and I was a track athlete. So, on some level, I hope that even that insignificant, tiny little piece of information that really does mean something to me because I think it's kind of cool. 'Cause I came from a real small town that was very, you know, very close knit, and for them to recognize me in that way, it really did mean a lot. Now, am I some professional athlete? Hell no, I'm no fucking pro. I'm not a pro at anything. Okay, but I would hope that there's some little kid who maybe goes to a Seaside High School basketball game and just happens to be wandering the halls at halftime after getting a fucking bag of M&Ms and looks up at the at all the Hall of Fame like pictures, and there's like a little blurb about each one of us, and like it would be cool if that kid reads those blurbs and thinks I want to do that. I want to do that. Like in the big picture, that, you know, does it matter? I don't know. I think it kind of does, because I think it's good to be inspired. And I think that regardless of what our ages are, inspiration can still happen. Which brings me to who really inspired me. All right. And this was it was a treat to watch. Okay. It was a treat to watch. If you don't know who Diedrich Kroklim is, Dietrich Kroklim, Krocklem. I want you to Google this young man. He's 19 years old. He has recently qualified for the Olympic Games. All right. He's going to Paris this summer to fight. I believe he fights at 150, 155, somewhere in there. I have never seen a fighter like in real life. Like I've watched, boxing, and I like to watch the UFC, and you see that stuff on TV. You don't really get an appreciation for all the little things that they do, like the footwork, the body position, the angles, how they move their body, how they react to pressure. You don't really get the best sense of that through a TV. And Tank, who is currently he is in Las Vegas getting ready for the Golden Gloves regional. So he's the Washington State Golden Gloves champion at I think he's 140 pounds, 145 pounds, somewhere in there. Right now he'll be fighting this weekend in Las Vegas for the regionals for Golden Gloves. He gets out of that, he then goes to the nationals for Golden Gloves. Okay, and he has a legitimate shot to get out of the region and get to the national tournament. He has a legitimate shot at doing that. All right. So him and Dietrich went about, I think, 5 rounds last night. And I noticed this on Tuesday as well with this other guy. And again, I apologize. I can't remember what your name is. But he's been boxing for a long time, many, 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 many years. All right. He's got a lot of fights under his belt. He's sparred some professional boxers. I believe he's, maybe worked some camps with those guys where he's just sparring these pros to get them ready. The dude was a ridiculously talented boxer. And I got a little bit of that same sense watching him. But the one thing I noticed between him and Dietrich was when the clock went 3, 2, 1, and it was time to go, it was like a switch was flipped. All right. And I understand that switch because, I've done a lot of sports in my life. I get what that switch is, where you go from I'm not serious or I'm kind of serious to let's fucking go. Now we go. All right. Body language changed. The whole facial demeanor changed. The eyes are what really changed. And the look that Dietrich had in his eyes when he very first walked out against Tank, within the first like 3 seconds of that opening round, I was like, oh shit, like this is different. And everything that he did was so crisp. It was so clean. It was so tactical. It was so planned in advance. You could almost see him thinking in real time. You know what I mean? Maybe that doesn't make sense. He was setting things up simply by how he had his body positioned without even throwing punches. He was essentially making Tank throw certain punches so that he could counter them with other punches. And okay, like, yeah, like I've seen that stuff on TV before, but you don't get a full appreciation for it until you see it in real time with the blood and the sweat and the smells and the tension that's in the gym. And there were quite a few people that showed up to watch. All right. there were, you kind of look around and there were some prospective new students that were there watching. Some significant others that were there watching. Their guys were there. We had some guys that were there. It was such a cool display of where I'm trying to get to. Will I get there? I don't fucking know. But that's the goal, That's the goal. Like what Tank is doing and what Dietrich is doing, what those two young men are doing, and they're both 19 years old. Both of them, 19 years old. One is chasing his dream of, his short-term goal, his short-term dream of winning the Golden Gloves national, tournament. And the other one is chasing his short-term dream right now of winning a gold medal at the fucking Olympic Games. Like, to have that amount of talent in the gym at one time sparring each other, that made my whole day right there. And it was such a pleasant surprise, not just because of what I watched, but watching the discipline of two very, very young men, okay, two 19-year-olds who carry themselves probably better, more professional, more calm than a lot of grown-ass fucking men that I know. It was so cool. It really was so cool to watch. And I know maybe I sound like I'm fucking fanboying out right now. Fuck off. I don't care. I was inspired by that. And like last night, as I'm literally, it's the second, and I always call my girlfriend when I leave boxing, because I'm usually on such a high. I just want to tell her whether it goes good, goes bad, or otherwise. I always call her, and I give her a rundown of what happened. And if I'm doing like light sparring, usually the conversation is, well, Smoke drilled me in the solar plex again, and I fell down to my knees, but I got back up and we kept going. That's a lot of how the conversations start. Is usually me not protecting my solar plexus and Smoke knocking me on my knees. I can't breathe. But I leave boxing, after all that. And I did, I went around and I was like, hey, that was awesome. Great. You guys all did great. Thanks for coming down. And as I walk out, I call her. I didn't even have the fucking words to explain what I had just watched. Like I was somehow lucky enough to fucking stumble in to two ridiculously high level boxers having a sparring session in my own home gym. All right. And I know that like a lot of you who have been in this fight game for a long, long time, well, okay, like that may not be a big deal to you, but think back to that very first time when some big name person came to your gym to spar your guys. Like, it's pretty fucking cool to watch someone who is that disciplined, whose fundamentals are so on point, who's so driven, so focused. It was just, I don't know, man. I'm still kind of buzzing about it, and I didn't even get to participate, but I was just happy that I got to be there to witness it. And that's the goal. Like, the goal for me is to get to a point to where I can spar guys like that and at least be able to defend myself and maybe, get some punches off on them. Okay. Am I there yet? Hell no. Thank you, Coach Honey, and thank you, Coach Vince, for not putting me in that ring against those guys. I would have went in there, but it would have been ugly. Okay. But this is the goal that we're all working towards. This is the goal that Smoke and I, that Rasta and I, that, fucking Taz and I, Pepper and I, Tiny and I, Tank and I, all of us together, we are all working toward that goal to be as literally to be the best that we can be, you know? And if we maximize our talent, then at that point, you just let the chips fall where they may. Okay. But I feel so fucking fortunate to be at Brick 3 Boxing with the group of people that I get to train with. And like these all like, look, let's go through some ages real quick. And I know I harp on ages a lot, but I have a point to this. Tank is 19. I believe Rasta is 25. Smoke is 22. Taz is still in fucking high school. He's like 17. Pepper is still in high school. I believe he's 18. And Tiny just turned 21. Okay? And she's a fucking animal, let me tell you. And then there's my old ass trying to keep up with these hyper focused young people who are insanely fucking driven to get better and better and better. It is so contagious, but in a good way. And I see the same thing when I go to T-Town MMA. It's a much bigger gym, a lot more people, but everyone up there is also insanely driven, you know, and everyone's there for different reasons. Okay. Like, you know, some people are just there they have no desire to actually fight. You know, they just want the fitness aspect. They want the workout aspect, you know, and maybe they want to do some very minimal amount of light sparring, but they're not going to jump in the octagon or in the ring and do fights, and they're not going to go hard spar. They have no desire. And there are other people, they want this to be a career, you know? So we have one extreme to the other. And I have never asked what any one of my teammates, and I'm going to call them my teammates because that's what we are at this place. I've never asked any of them like what their ultimate goals are. I know what Tank's are. Okay. I know what Tank's goals are. I'm fairly certain I know what Rasta's goals are and Smoke's goals. But everybody else, I'm not sure. But when I look at the way we all train the same. Regardless of what our overall goals are, we all train the exact same. Really fucking hard. Okay? Really fucking hard. Do we have fun? Yeah, we have fun. Like there's a time and a place to joke. Okay? There's a time and a place to laugh, and we do laugh. We have a great time. But when it's time to get to work, you will never see a more serious group, you know, a more focused group, a more encouraging group. And that was one thing that always kind of bugged me about the other gym that I went to prior to my move. The encouragement was always demanded of us. You better encourage your teammates. You better do it or else. And I don't subscribe to that. Okay. I have never, and I will never subscribe to forced encouragement. Fuck all that shit. Encouragement needs to be organic. It needs to be earned, because if someone is just a slacker, if someone like you can try to encourage them till you're blue in the face, but they're going to do what they're going to do. All right. And maybe, I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm sounding like an asshole right now, but this is just how I've always been. This is how I've always been like this. Our encouragement that we have it's very fucking organic. Nobody needs to tell anyone to work harder, because I think it's organic because we all work so hard that the encouragement is just part of the process. You know, we're all trying to help each other get to whatever our goals are. And man, I fucking love I love the environment. And, you know, like I got to look at it too from a longevity standpoint, because I don't have as many years as these guys to do this. Like realistically, like I keep myself in insanely good shape. All right. and I can go and go and go with anyone. I will just I got a good motor in me. Despite how old I am and the wear and tear I have on my body, I can go and go and go if I need to. All right. But I'm also realistic that I decided to jump headfirst into combat sports at an age where most people are looking to simply, be trainers, or, they're definitely getting out of it. And here I am jumping headfirst into it. I don't have the window that these, the young people have. I just don't. So I take it serious because I want to get as good as I can as quickly as possible, which means extra work on my part to try to bridge this gap that everyone already has on me because they've already been doing this for, 2, 3, 4 years. All right. Um, I wouldn't have it any other way though. Man, I'm so happy. The sparring thing last night, it was just so cool to watch. I would encourage anyone out there, all right? First and foremost, you should all go buy a motorcycle and, either a dirt bike or a road bike, and then go to a track and go race. Okay? Racing will always be my first love. From the time I was walking, I was fucking racing people, which means I was running. I was chasing, running from, or whatever. I was racing either on foot or on a bike. Racing will always be my first love. Racing will always be my fucking mistress. Racing will always be my all, everything. I will never stop racing in some way, shape, or form ever. Okay. Now, that said, the second thing that y'all should go do, go join some form of combat sports. It will humble you. It will change your life. I swear to fucking God, it will change your life. You will just view everything different. You really will. And you will become obsessed with it. You will learn to love it. You really will. And it hurts. Like, it hurts. It doesn't feel good getting punched in the fucking liver. All right? It doesn't feel good taking an insanely hard hook right to your fucking ear. It does not feel good. Or getting hit in the jaw and you can't close your mouth at night, like when you go home, and you can't even chew food because you feel like your fucking jaw got dislocated from your skull. Like, that stuff isn't fun. However, it's very, very addicting. It is. There is, and this is something that I've just been drawn to in general with sports. I'm drawn to the sports that command 100% of your focus. Your mind cannot wander at 170 miles an hour on a racetrack. You'll fucking die. You will die. Okay. You are in it 100%, 100% focus. All right. It's the same with boxing. When you are in that ring, there is no time to think about anything else. Nothing. You're not thinking about your sick kids. You're not thinking about your pets, your significant other, what you're having for dinner. All you're thinking is hit and don't get hit. That's it. Hit and don't get hit. What do I need to do to hit that person? While simultaneously, what do I need to do to not get hit by that person? It'll fucking change your life. So obviously, I want everyone to come to Brick 3 Boxing. We have such a great environment there. But hey, there's a lot of great gyms around. If you're in the Tacoma area, T-Town MMA is fucking awesome. If the whole 7th Street Boxing Club carries themselves the way that these young men did last night, 100% go to 7th Street Boxing Club and just say, I'm here to learn. Don't show up with a fucking ego or an attitude or like this or that. You don't know shit. All right? You don't know shit. And that goes really for any gym. Just show up and say, I want to learn. And I fucking promise you, it will change your life. It'll change your life, man. All right. Well, I think I'm done fanboying out. Fanboying out. Whatever. God, I can't even talk right now. One of those days, folks. One of those days. This is all I'm doing this week as far as podcasts. I think Wednesdays are going to be my day for podcasts going forward. It just works better with my schedule. Again, if you're out in Odessa this weekend, come by, say hi. Have a seltzer water with me. I'll have plenty of cold seltzer waters. So I'm more than happy to share one with you. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend, and I will talk with you all later.